just by Four Peaks being bought out of how to really run a brewery.
So I agree with you on that. Totally.
It is cute.
I wish they would actually build a ABI plant here. I know that's fantasy, but like I think we would get a lot of
It's cute.
employees and
I love that.
crossover and all that other stuff. You know that there's a Monster Energy has a production or getting a production license, and I don't know what they're gonna make, but like
They have a big facility out here.
yeah, it's unlicensed. They bought the Bang.
Yeah,
Energy.
Bang. Yeah, the guy that used to run the Bang fillers comes in here all the time.
Really?
Loves to tell me about these giant carousels that he was running.
Arizona is a wildly beautiful place, brimming with over 100 brewing companies.
I'm Rob Fullmer, the Director of Government and Community Affairs for the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild. I'm joined by Executive Director Andrew Baum.
Together we cover the state, bringing you the best of what's happening at our breweries and beyond. Welcome to Arizona Beer Frontier.
Well, actually, what we need for some of the things that we talked about off camera and the non-alcoholic beverage space and potentially hemp beverages, we need co-packers and we need people with
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
experience. And so that's why when White Claw had a plant here, people were like, oh my God, they have a, like, what are you going to do about that? Or are you afraid? I'm like, no, man, they're going to train a bunch of people and we want to learn from them. And like, we got a couple of great brewery people from there.
They're going to accelerate the industry quicker than anybody else could.
Right. So like people like Marisa, you don't know Marisa? She used to work at Look, and I think she's getting married to one of your former colleagues.
Old Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Sam well and Marisa.
Yeah, I mean, just watching, just coming in casually and seeing the transformation at Wilson to be obviously more safety centric.
Yeah.
Like you didn't go like, oh, this is totally unsafe, it needs to be fixed, but like to see what they put in and the procedures, like totally, that's what our industry needs. And that's when people say, why are we not like Colorado and blowing? I'm like, well, they have a history of that for decades of having Coors and
They've had big industry in there.
right. And I would tell you what people don't know in Metro Phoenix in particular, as brewery owners, their grain price went down because shipping costs went down because of the contract situation ABI had in Four Peaks, like because their volumes were going up and because they had ABI favorable pricing, everybody's shipping went down.
100%, and not just for raw materials for like grain and hops, but what a lot of people don't realize is that the chemical that people were buying from certain suppliers was astronomically cheap because Four Peaks was buying so much of it. And when they ended their supplier contracts,
You can get into that a little bit.
yeah, all of those, like the prices shot up like crazy, and all of a sudden everyone's scrambling like, oh, who are we going to use now? Who are we going to use now? If Four Peaks isn't using them, how else are we going to get the chemical to the state?
Right.
And yet we need big breweries here.
I'll say one more thing about Four Peaks. If they were kicking your ass before they got bought, they're still kicking your ass. And when they were kicking your ass, it was only because they had a great street team, and they had. If there was a tap handle anywhere in the state, they tried to get on, and that was a lot of upfront money. I know that there's been a lot of layoffs, and there's a lot of people who are out looking for work on that were part of that team, and then that sucks. But you're not there anymore. You're here at 100 Mile.
Yeah, and what I will say about this is that we've had layoffs in the past, and within months they were rehired.
Right.
And it's a big corporate game that they play. And I have full belief that all of those sales reps will be rehired in one way or another, whether or not they're working directly for a bigger corporation or a smaller entity. They will somehow be working still with Four Peaks on their goals.
I mean, I hope they all find a place to land, and it would be regrettable. I mean, I know the people personally, so obviously I want them to do well, but it would be regrettable if we lost a lot of their experience and know-how. But again, you're at 100 Mile here. Let's move forward on that.
Let's focus
how long
on
have you
100
been
Mile.
here?
I've been here since July 1st.
Yeah.
I started a couple days before then, and I worked with Marty from Second Chance, who was the interim head brewer here. Golly, he really revamped a lot of the recipes that the other brewers have had, and I would like to say that 100 Mile is really a San Diego focused, brewing style wise. We are San Diego focused more so than any other Arizona brewery right now. And what I mean by that is that San Diego is on the forefront of a lot of innovation, a lot of techniques that a lot of other brewers don't use. And I hear about them. We're judgmental of them, but right now I'm starting to embrace them. Like, hey, let's try something new. We've tried all the past for a while. Let's be innovative. Let's keep moving forward.
Sounds like you should be contacting Andrew about being on the technical committee, because like we need to revamp that.
Oh gosh, I've asked about it. You know, I've got 3 kids, and they're all 3 playing soccer. They're all under 12 years of age, and I'm here 55 hours a week. There's no less.
Well, you got a lot of room here to host.
Yeah, but you know what? A technical committee would be fun. I love learning.
Yeah.
I love teaching. And I love implementing. So all right. We should do something like that.
Put it on the table.
Yeah.
And you've got you put out a table with hops, obviously to explain that to the media.
I'm so excited about our table. We put out several varieties of hops, including Crush, Simcoe, Mosaic, and all 3 of those blends all 3 of those hops are part of this blend. And then also, we put out Glacier, which is just one of my favorite hops. And that was donated to me by my previous brewer. They gave that to us just because I love that hop so much, and I wanted to really let the team here smell that one. But what we're focused on today is the Pink Boots.
Right. So did any of those hops go into the...
All of them went into the Pink Boots blend, except for Glacier, which is what I just love the smell of Glacier, so let's do that one.
So you brought in the hops you needed, and you brought one just
for
to
fun.
smell.
Yeah.
Just aroma, like a potpourri. It's very
it's very brewer-esque, really. We're so centrals with that.
So tell me a little bit about the beer. Sue introduced, the idea of it. It's got hibiscus in it, but tell me from your perspective.
The hibiscus was never part of my plan. I love these like curveballs that Sue throws me from time to time. Like out of nowhere, we're making a pink beer, and well, fuck yeah, let's do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we say that on here?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Cool. Yeah. Hell yeah, we're gonna make a pink beer, and the hibiscus flower we keep on hand for a couple of the other varieties that we do or brands. And it is such a unique product to work with. And so I utilized the culinary expertise of Brandi when it came to that hop powder. Hibiscus powder. I've never used it before, and it is very hygroscopic. It just does not, or hydrophobic. It did not want to go into the...
It's kind of sat on the top. It wouldn't really mix in.
It just floated, and it was a mess to work with. So she did her magic, and she's working on that, and we made a brilliant hibiscus tea out of it.
Sure. So let everyone know who Brandi is.
Sorry, yeah. Brandi is our event coordinator here. She was our bar manager for a little bit. When I started, she was bar manager. Brandi's been accelerating on all fronts. 100 Mile does, and she's always really reaching for more. She's reached over to our banquet department, and she still oversees our brewery a little bit as far as styles that we bring on the taps. We don't
talking
want
about you.
Oh, hey,
Talking
Brandi.
about-
Hey.
So yeah, Brandy's killing it all in fronts. We love having her around, and yeah, she worked on this beer with me. We literally set up all these beers in front of us, ranging from 0 IBUs all the way up to 100, and Brandy put them in order that she thought they meant. Like, this is the strongest IBU to the minimalist IBU.
in here, Brandi? Talk.
You know,
no stranger to the camera today.
No, I'm not
Come
camera
on
shy
over
anymore.
so, you know, Brandy's not a brewer, but she's got a fantastic palate.
No, this is the one you want. That's
And-
you.
Yeah, there you go.
And this is Nick. Everybody's afraid of these things. Just get into it if you
Big
want.
old muff here.
Right.
So, go ahead.
No, I just Nick was explaining you had a culinary background because
Yeah.
he was trying to understand how to mix the hibiscus powder and how it just kind of like dropped in like, bleh, I'm not
Yeah.
getting in that. So
The awesome thing of working with Nick is that we're teaching each other. Be it that I have a culinary background, I know a vast amount of flavor profile and a sense of smell. So be it that Nick is his worst critic.
he is. We were just getting into the aroma aspects.
He is. But you know what? I think he's a phenomenal brewer. And I have a lot of great things about Nick. I think he's a dope brewer. And I'm just happy to be a part of the process of just being able to, him like listening to my favorite profiles and my sense of smell and things like that. And it just helped with me going to culinary school. It really, really did.
He went to which school?
From San Diego, it's closed down right now, but I went to a small, closed French-trained culinary school called SDCI in La Mesa, California.
Right on.
So,
There's a few people that I know have a culinary background that are in the beer industry. One of them was Leah Huss, but she
yeah.
wasn't hands-on. But she went to CIA, and Adam Schmeichel from Fate, and I think he also went to CIA.
yeah. Where I came from, I'm French-trained, so it's a little bit more traditional.
Right.
And some of the things that I was trained on, they don't train on. So
Right.
I think that's why I was a little bit more blessed than having that little background because, you know.
We can go round and round.
Exactly.
French school. I mean, people ask me like, why is wine always favored? Like, because that was the dominant school. Like, you could have a Thai school of
Yeah.
cooking that would have a completely different take.
Yeah.
And like, guess what? Blow up IPAs if there was a Thai.
Exactly.
Equally strong. Like it's all.
Yeah.
But they were a successful model of schooling. I just I want to get back to the beer a little bit, but I also want to ask. Nick and I have known each other for a long time, and I've seen you other places.
Yeah, we met a couple times.
You were what other places have you worked at?
We did the Brewers Guild together. He introduced me a couple of times. We had a
But
beer.
I thought you worked somewhere else before this.
No, not in Arizona. No,
Oh,
this is
okay.
my first predominant place in Arizona. I haven't been in Arizona for a year.
Oh,
yet.
okay.
So that's why I'm very grateful of being even a part of this
Right.
culture and a part of this community and a part of Tempe and working aside
Yeah.
with Nick of certain things, as because I haven't even been here for a year. So
I come here and when Sue's here, obviously she gets my attention, and Nick is usually gone by the time I get here. So I do see your face here, like,
Yeah.
but it's hard. Like people like I go to if I'm doing my job right, I will see 100 breweries over a course of a year.
for sure.
I haven't been doing that lately. It's like it's hard to get out, but and then craft beer bars and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so our was the hibiscus, is that part of the thought process from you, or is that coming from Sue? And what
think-
strategies did you use to incorporate that?
Well, me and Nick definitely wanted to do juicy. He first asked me, he was like, what do you want to do? And I was
Right.
like, well, if you want me to do something, I'm going to definitely do an IPA. And the higher the APV, the higher it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, okay, let's do a juicy. And I was like, I love juicies.
Mm-hmm.
So my first brewery that I actually tasted when I came out here was actually Church Music.
Oh, right on.
And I fell in love with it. And
Right.
then Sue took me she actually gave me my first one off the tap because I was buying cans when I first moved here.
Right.
My goal was when I moved here, I want to try all the local breweries since now I work at a brewery. And I tried different breweries and I thought everything was exceptional. But for some reason, the shop got me. And I was like, this is different than San Diego that I'm used to. So all in a nutshell, me and Nick, I was like, I want it juicy. I want something to be flavorful. Let's play with some flavors. And we played with hibiscus, and that's where we were at. And I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Wow.
Between you and I think it's going to be a killer.
Do you how much of the hibiscus? Because hibiscus can be kind of bitter, right?
Yeah,
Insanely bitter.
It's insanely bitter. And so what I did I did a steeping process, and that was something that Nick's teaching me, I teach him.
Right.
And so I did a steeping process to where I can extract the flavors out of the powder.
Right.
To have it sink to the bottom. But we taste tested it with soda water and things like that, and I feel like me and him, between us and playing with it for
Right.
a day, we got a really good hibiscus flavor out of it.
So how much color do you expect out of it? Was that a secondary consideration? I mean, there's the pink mood aspect, so it has to have some pink, but...
Oh, it's going to be a nice pink hue to it, for sure.
I'm almost concerned it's gonna be purple, but we'll see where
It might have a purple hue to it, but I think we're going to gradually add to it and see where we're at with it. But the flavor is definitely going to be there as far as hibiscus.
This is
We
a
won't miss
culinary
it.
product, really.
Yeah,
It
is a culinary product.
It's a little ebb and flow, really,
It
for
is.
us.
Good.
I'm going to give him 55. I'll take 45. But I think between Nick and I think we're going to brew, I like to call it a perfect cup of coffee.
We were just talking about the rigidity of his experience at Four Peaks. It just, Nick, we've known each other since homebrew days, and I'm going to take credit for introducing you to Andrew Ingram. I literally am, because...
You did, and holy cow, are you actually remembering the same event I am?
I totally did. You had is an English mild?
Yeah.
You had an English mild, and I thought it was really good. And the fact that you're on a podcast with me is like, you were kind of in a shell, and I'm like, and he likes your beer. He asked me who made it. I'm like, you should talk to him right now. And
Yeah.
you weren't hired right away, but
We're talking 5 years later I was hired.
yeah, but you worked at Brewers Connection then, right? Or no?
Yeah, it's the wildest thing. So I had graduated college from NAU. I wanted to be a teacher. I was trying to find a job. And so I started going to the homebrew meetings because I had nothing else to fill my time. We had the housing collapse, and it was just a nightmare.
2008 or so?
Yeah.
7 or 8, yeah.
So, I was at the homebrew meeting, and I'm bringing these beers, and I was drinking at Four Peaks, like, constantly. Well, not constantly, but, I was bringing inspiration from them. So, when Andy was like, this is the greatest beer of tonight, I'm like, you know what? My trajectory has just changed. I want to be a brewer.
Right.
And holy cow, it was just a mind-boggling experience to have someone who's professional enough to say to you, this is a decent product. Like,
It was cool because a lot of people were trying to do all kinds of styles. I think there was an expectation that he was going to be there, so like people were bringing. I'm like, what I know about Andy is like he cut his teeth on his styles, and like they're not very exciting to a lot of people, but like it's certainly smoked
he's
him.
such a classical brewer.
Yeah. So I only bring that up because you talked about how the structure and it gave you a great opportunity, and at the same time it put you in a box, and now you're working with Brandi, and you're working at a smaller place.
Okay,
contrast that a little bit.
That was 20 years ago almost.
Yeah.
And at the time, my brother and I wrote a business plan to open a brewery. I've written now 3 business plans to open breweries. I've never opened one.
Right.
But I have found myself in a brewery that is very accepting of me, and as the head brewer, I'm now able to experience all those things that I would have experienced by opening my own brewery. And I'm just forever grateful for 100 Mile for that. What was your question?
My questions are only to get you to talk more than me.
I think it's dope.
My predilection is to fill aerospace with my voice. It's not an ego thing. I hate my voice, but Yeah.
Me too.
So
You know, it's pretty cool working aside of Nick though, honestly, because we've gotten into brewery tours and we kind of made, when we do our brewery tours, we kind of made like a small bites, small pints
Right.
type of situation, and it's awesome to like be able to collaborate, you know, pairing food, and then that's where I kind of come along as well, because in San Diego, when I was in San Diego, that's how I got into the craft brewing industry. I was very blessed when I got into this industry that craft brewing is vast. So I come from Stone and Ballast Point and, you know, McElhaney, Alpine, Green Flash, all that good stuff. So
yeah, get in the mic a little bit.
I'm
You're good.
very, don't push me. I'm just very happy that I'm able to be a part of something other than being the brewer's aspect of it. I can put some culinary emphasis to it, and Nick took some patience and time, and it was like, wow, Brand, you know your flavor profiles, your sense of smell and everything. And not a lot of people in the 14 years that I've been in this industry, not a lot of people took the patience out to I can project that too. So I honestly dedicate me being in Arizona to Stu and Nick, because I wasn't able to project that really in San Diego a lot, because it is a very competitive industry.
It is, and we're all going to be different. I'm now coming from the legal aspect and the legislation. Like, everything is different. Every state's different, and the topography of our state is basically square mileage. We have Los Angeles, and population-wise, we have Philadelphia, but we don't resemble either one of those two things. And so we're going to do things differently. But Tempe is a more insular community. We actually have some loss in the fact that a lot of people were going to bag on this, but we had Gordon Biersch in downtown Tempe, and it was lagers are having a moment, and that's what they were good at. And you knew Dieter when he was.
I love Dieter.
Dieter was the brewer there, and he's gone on to do crazy things. He's when he was in California, he did the guacamole beer. He was one of the first ones to do that. And
Fun fact.
He worked at a couple different places. He's in Nashville now. He's got family and kids and stuff. But he was doing some crazy stuff. He was what did he do? He finally met his idol, Cheech and Chong. He's got the Cheech and Chong tattoos.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Did some beverages for them when he was
Dieter was known for some of the wildest stuff. He would take a keg at the end of a brew festival out in the middle of the field with nothing attached to the coupler, tap a keg, and then you'd have a fountain of beer in the middle of the fucking field.
Fun fact, right out of culinary school, it's really hard to get a job out of culinary school.
Yeah.
Quick fun fact. You know what my first job was?
Was it Gordon Biersch?
Yep, in Mission Valley, California.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
That was my first culinary job, and then that's when I started to know what breweries were.
Yep.
You can always buy your stuff at a local corner store or your local grocery store, but my first time at a job, but I was in the back of the house. I was in the kitchen, and it was at Gordon Biersch, and I remember I got my first keg on that. I did. I got a keg.
They made
for free.
really good, consistent beers, and they had a food experience,
Yep.
and they had a loyal crowd,
Yep.
and they were, they filled that corner in Tempe, and it's when it left, you didn't necessarily need a brewery, you wanted a business that would fill that corner, and it really hasn't, and so I do want to finish here a little bit. I'm going to talk about another thing with Nick, and certainly hang out and talk about, because we're doing a charitable effort here. Sue talked about the
Near and dear to my heart.
so one of the other things that I will tell you about Nick, the fact that I remember his is it was a thing, but Nick's daughter had a medical condition, and I'll let you explain it, but we didn't have the legal mechanism to support raising money for it. It sounds weird, but there are reasons why there's you can't just donate free product to license holders, because unfortunately there are people who would just take advantage of that and expect free product all the time, and we're in a very regulated industry. Nevertheless, Nick's story was very compelling, and we broke the law hard.
Oh,
We
no,
broke
did
the
we
law
ever.
very hard. At some point, there was $20,000 of giveaways, and it didn't go towards the business. It went everybody who came had an opportunity to take something away and donate it, and we raised a sum of money, and apparently it was enough. But based on our experience with Nick, we did some other things. But I want you to tell a little bit about your daughter and where she's at. And man, that was like a long time ago. Tell us.
Yeah, it feels like
problem.
forever.
Yeah, she's beautiful though. I met her. She's amazing.
So my daughter Natalie is 11 years old. She'll turn 12 in September. She has a twin named Zachary. Natalie was born with a condition that really perplexed a lot of the medical community. She was born with streptococcus. So essentially, she had strep in her throat before being born. So she was delivered C-section, cesarean. You would not expect a streptococcus infection with that kind of delivery.
Yep.
So that was never a concern. But holy cow, after 6 months, the child just stopped eating.
Oh, bless her heart.
And the only way we could get this kid to eat was to get her to sleep and then put a bottle in her mouth, and then just the natural brain would take over, the sucking mechanism.
Suckle. Yeah.
And it's called dream feeding. I'm surprised my wife and I are still married to this day. Like, God bless us both.
Yes.
We went through so much, like, just trying to take care of this child, and we didn't know where we would end up. It was just a nightmare. So she's doing really well now. The guild.
Let me just
Yeah.
ask you a question to provide more information. You had insurance. You had solutions that most people have, but
Yeah.
the solution that the insurance company came up with was what, and how that was not acceptable.
Okay, yeah. So, holy cow. They determined the child was, like, incapable of eating. And they were like, well, so you need to hire a therapist for feeding therapy.
Gonna be like on a feeding tube probably for the rest of her
Well,
life.
she was on a feeding tube. Yeah, from 9 months old until she was 2.5, she was on a feeding tube. And golly, when someone tells you that your child's going to be on a feeding tube the rest of their life, you're like, what do I do?
Exactly.
So I started reaching out, and I found out that there's therapies for this, but the expense was unbelievable. It was like $200-300 a visit.
And as with health insurance?
That's with insurance. That was like out of pocket.
Yeah.
So when I was like, sharing my concerns at work, it bubbled, and it made its way to the guild.
And it made word of mouth.
And it made a word of mouth. And between Four Peaks, the guild, and all the Arizona breweries at the time, we hosted an event at the, help me with this.
It's World of Beer. They don't have a license here anymore.
World
so
of Beer.
We did break the law. Like, there's no doubt
Hey,
about it. It's
World
10
of
years
Beer
ago.
was a super cool spot. It was
Yeah.
right on Mill. They had so many beers on tap. Are they still in business?
I don't think so. I mean, the core people are own a brewery in Georgia. I don't know. if you know that.
JP owns a brewery out in Georgia.
Scofflaw.
Scofflaw, thank you.
Yeah. But
just-
it tugged at his heartstrings as well. But like, we were like, how? There's an option for her to live a regular life, and there's no alternative.
There's no way for us to get there because I
Yeah.
don't have money.
Right.
And talk about community, though. That's community, whether they're in business or not, and whether you pulled strings, illegal,
there were-
illegal.
There were
Talk
people.
about community.
There were people. I mean, they obviously have. Well, no, they don't. They didn't have food at the time. So like, there was barbecue people, and like I remember, they were going to do like a overnight smoke, and I remember getting up in the middle of the night and getting them some donuts and coffee, and like it was just like this whole thing. It was very organic, and but like we were like, man, we knew like if they wanted to come and shut like, and at this point like they wouldn't have done it because like what we were talking earlier, like the DLC doesn't want to be on the news, and they don't want to be embarrassed. But we were just flying without a net here, and and that was the point. It was a meaningful story, but let's get to the result. And
Holy cow! Let me tell you a bit about this day.
She's amazing. I met her. She's a beautiful child.
Well,
all his children are beautiful.
Thank you.
But
I show up on this day, and there's a trailer with a smoker on it. There's a giant pig.
Right.
just
Roasting
rotating.
away.
There we go.
The guy's been there all night long.
It was smoked with Four Peaks staves from the barrel aged podcast.
Look at you. Okay.
And
She went out with a bang.
I had that stave for a while, and I used it in some other thing that was meaningful to me.
There we go.
So
exactly.
it's been burned.
Yeah.
But I had it.
He bestowed it into himself.
No. I mean,
Everything's meaningful.
Yeah.
I know. It was like, okay, so I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. But.
I walked in that day, and I was just coming for a beer, and I thought, all right, so they're gonna raise some money, and that's that. I'm 28 years old. I don't know anything, and Rob hands me this roll of tickets, like, go sell these, and I'm like, what? No idea what's going on. I'm supposed to be selling raffle tickets. I had no idea I'm raising money for my child. Like,
Right.
It was just, the event got put on so quickly and so, like, with such force of all, like, so many pressures coming together. Like, no one knew what the hell was going on. It was such an incredible event. We ended up raising so much money that
That's
my
amazing.
daughter went through all of her therapies and then paid for the elective surgery that the insurance denied me. So the kid has strep, required to remove tonsils because strep is within the
Yep.
tonsils. Yet that's not a medical necessity.
Yeah.
We will not pay for that.
Yeah.
So the guild paid for that. The guild has been by my side every step of the way. Ever since getting out of high school, the guild has been there.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Like that, what a mentor we're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I love mentorship. I love mentoring people as we bring them up.
Yep.
But like the guild has been the mentor for me.
The fact that like we didn't dig that story out, or I mean I knew you, but I didn't know that was going on, and obviously once I understood, but like that was a bunch of breweries coming in and saying, hey, what can we do, and nobody had the answer, and of course the answer was in front of us, is to leverage everybody's goodwill. And like I will tell you, there were people who maybe later became our adversaries. There were liquor distributors that were like, hey, we've got a bunch of stuff that we can't actually legally give to, and like, so it was a clearinghouse. Let me tell you, like there was
so much cool
there,
stuff.
there was
there.
like
Surfboards.
Asahi Brewing, which nobody knew unless you went to Japan at that time. Maybe in San Diego that was a name, but like they had like bicycles. Like he isn't like rocking an
That sounds
Asahi bicycle.
very familiar. That sounds very familiar,
Right.
The
actually.
coolest stuff showed
Yeah.
up to that event.
Yeah.
Right. So there was so much goodwill on that, and
That's amazing.
So the legacy part of this is not only was our organization wasn't really equipped to do this, and we still have struggles with this because we're functioning as a type of organization, and we can't legally be a mechanism to provide benefits of that sort to individuals as a rule. And so because otherwise it's like, oh, you're a cartel, you're raising money and you're just doling it out, right?
Right.
And I get it. So we created the foundation, and that was we've done other things. And the problem is, the story has to come from people, and they have to contact us. Like we just don't have the wherewithal to dig out everybody's
And search
situation.
for it,
But
yeah.
we have some assets, and we have the ability to activate. But we're not. We have enough money to provide some immediate relief. But like the goal is to do the kind of thing that happened with Nick and his family, but in a structured way so that there is some give back, so it can be self-funded. but in the last couple of years, we've donated to the Michael J. Jackson Foundation, which is a national organization that encourages more people of color to be in the industry. So we've made a donation every year for the last 3 years. But we do need people to activate on that. And I have, because we kind of set up that organization as a response and didn't know what we're doing, I've paid a lawyer. I just haven't had the time to restructure that organization. So that organization needs some love and care. I can't be the only person running that and doing what I'm doing, and it needs to be passed off a little bit. And I'm not asking you specifically to do that, but I do think you are the de facto spokesman.
Oh gosh.
I think you are the de
Which one
facto
is it?
storyteller. It's the Arizona Craft Brewers Foundation.
Oh, no, that one. But
I'm not putting them on the spot. I'm not saying, hey, you have to be the
I'd
leader of this
love to
organization.
help out. In
No.
any way I can.
I think you need to be the chief storyteller because
Yeah,
that is the
but I'll
origin
be
of the thing.
I'll be
And
beside
so,
you.
like, it's only like, hey, we need the story
a
to be told. That's
spokesperson.
all. And you did a really good job. And
yeah,
That cheers me up.
yeah, it does. It does.
okay. Well, this is kind of like it's probably like 30 minutes. And it's not in our scheduled podcast, so I don't know when this will air. Maybe I'll put it out there early. We put out a podcast every week for the last. We're up to 140, and I'm like, I got to go to the Capitol. I got to get this all done by Thursday. I got some other stuff going on, so
Hey, I
don't be
listen to
surprised. Oh,
I
you
do too.
Do you really?
I
Okay,
do too.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we're going to hopefully get this out there sooner than later. Maybe we'll do a standalone. Whatever. I just wanted to get your story and our story together.
Thank you so much for sharing my story.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that you were part of this.
Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Also, talk
Really
a little bit
appreciate
about it. Like, wow, I feel weird that, hey, we're just gonna have a bunch of dudes talking about the women's collaboration here. But
Yeah.
Andrew and I are dudes. I'm a dude,
Yeah.
so like we've been doing this for a long time. But
Yeah, no
I
problem.
did want to.
This is important to you too, the
That's-
women's collaboration.
Exactly.
It totally is.
It is.
All these things are like we can do our organizational thing all we want, but it's hard for us as you know. We understand the culture, but we don't have a home, and you know people do recognize me, and people's like want to know what's going on, but like I don't have a place like you guys have every day, and the fact that you're hosting this is a result of Sue's involvement over many, many years, and this is the culmination of that. We don't have that. We don't have that kind of home, and so like I joke sometimes like, hey man, if you want me to make your thing relevant, just get a guy with a beard that's 50 years old. I'll be there. But like I don't know who I speak to.
Right.
Hopefully I speak to you all, but
But it seems like no matter what obstacles you're doing, you're making it happen though, and that's what's most
well,
important.
The culture is more important than anything else, and like you know, you come from the food industry, and,
Yep.
and you understand San Diego. That's the most important thing is the culture, and like everything
Yeah.
will kind of come from that.
Yeah.
So
No matter where I came from, I understand this culture, and this
Right.
is our culture.
you don't.
Beer,
Well,
food,
let it go.
community.
Doesn't matter.
That's where I
Right.
come from. It doesn't matter where I came from. It's
Sure.
culture, and you just bring it up.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just don't have that. And like I say, there's no Great American Dry Cleaners Festival. There's no.
Right?
No, I mean, there are. I talk to people in other industries like, we're too cutthroat. We would never even talk to each other about stuff. So, looks like Brew Day is actually happening. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna cut it off.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you so much. It's
Thank
always
you.
good to see
Cheers.
you. Cheers.